The Raiders made an interesting pickup yesterday, and that was Amari Cooper. I thought he was retired. There was rumors that he was retired. I don't know if that was actually true or not. But Amari Cooper going back to the Raiders, and they needed another receiver. I think this was a good move for them, especially because their starting receiver Jakobi Meyers asked for a trade amid some contract concerns. So Jakobi Meyers looking for a new deal coming off of a strong season last year. You get Amari Cooper there now. Obviously, this receiver room for the Raiders is kind of light already, and a lot of people are taking, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers early, but there will be a receiver in this room. Is either of these receivers intriguing you? Let's start with Jakobi Meyers because he's the focal point right now. Is there any concern about this, like holdout contract thing, requested trade? Like, are you concerned at all about Meyers?
No, I'll say this with Meyers. Like, I think Jakobi Meyers is a very safe wide receiver. In fantasy, where you can be like a wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3. But for me personally, like I just never draft him because I don't want that. I'd rather chase like Matthew Golden and Ricky Pearsall and chase the potential upside that those guys possess rather than Jakobi Meyers. But I think he's solid. Like he's a safe option if you're looking for like a wide receiver 4 that you can really feel good about most weeks, just throwing in your lineup and you don't expect a ton, but he can give you solid weeks. But what I'll say with him is that there could be a situation where he goes to, and now like he doesn't have a ton of value in fantasy football. Like if he's buried on the depth chart or like, cause the nice thing is he's the clear number 2 in this offense. And I think he's suited for that role where I don't know, like
you mean receiver 1, right? That's what you mean, right?
Well, yeah, receiver 1.
Yeah, he's clearly a target in this offense.
Not over Brock, though. Brock's clearly the top target. But I don't know where he would go that I wouldn't really like. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. But, like, say the Steelers, right? Like, just because the Steelers need another wide receiver, honestly, I wouldn't really like it. I don't feel like this is going to be a high-volume passing offense. You already have DK there. Like, I wouldn't really like that much. I guess I don't even really like the Raiders a whole lot, but it's just one of those situations that it's meh. I don't really care either way, but it could knock him down the draft boards because people obviously will react. I think that's something like players get fined so much money now for sitting out games that you won't see it anymore. Like these guys need to show up and got to get paid where they're getting so much of their paychecks taken out if they end up holding out. So I don't think he'll hold out. I think something will probably happen where he'll probably get signed last minute to a nice little extension or something like that, and he'll be back there, or he gets traded. But either way, like I don't really care. Like I'm not very interested.
I feel like he's one of those players, bro. You just like I don't want to take him. You take him, like I would say the reason you take a Jakobi Meyers is if you went like running back heavy, address quarterback and tight end, and you need a wide receiver 3. You don't have room for upside. Take Jakobi Meyers, or like you're just looking for you have a league where you have 2 flex. Now, okay, Jakobi Meyers is like a safe option for you if you went super risky early on. Like he's just one of those players, even though he's been a top 30 receiver over the last 4 years, each of the last 4 years. It's just one of those players where I never draft him, and he's
not going to win you leagues.
He doesn't. Well, it's debatable, but like he's one of those pieces. It's just not a sexy piece, I would say. Like he doesn't give you. He does give you upside because you're taking him at the wide receiver 40, 45, 50, wherever he's going, and you get a top 30 guy. It's just not a fun piece, I would say, in the lineup. And he's talented, but you talked about it. He needs to come back to the Raiders in order to have that value because there's no other team that's going to trade for him and make him their 1. He's not the number 1 on any other team but the Raiders. That's literally it. So I think for him, obviously, this is a contract move and something where he was like, I need to have a little bit of leverage. But it reminds me a lot of like Juwan Jennings for the Niners. Like, what are you doing, bro? Just sign a deal or play through your contract and then figure out what team you're going to next in free agency. So I think Jakobi Meyers is one of those players who probably is undervalued in real life, but for our fantasy teams, just don't have much upside, especially because they did sign Amari Cooper now. You talk about Brock being the number 1 already, the number 1 target, even though I don't know how many targets per game. That would be an interesting number, targets per game for Jakobi Meyers. But Brock was the number 1 targeted receiver, so to speak, on this team. You bring in Amari Cooper, who looked kind of washed last year. with the Bills. He didn't have the impact that I think everybody was expecting. He comes on this team now, gives him another threat. Where are you at with Amari Cooper? Because it's a sexy name in fantasy, right? Like a lot of people, Amari Cooper, he's a wide receiver 3 and just didn't perform with the Bills. You think there's any juice left? Like, is this a good signing for him? Talk to me about Amari Cooper.
I don't really care. For fantasy football, I'm not interested.
No juice at all? None?
If he could have produced with Josh Allen, like what is the likelihood that he's going to produce with Geno Smith? So I'm not very interested whatsoever. I think it's a guy that, like, sure, if you want to pay attention first couple of weeks of the season, see how it plays out, maybe he has a good game and he'll be a top ad because it's Amari Cooper. But like, no, I'm not very interested in Amari Cooper at this stage in his career. I think he's shown us enough over the past, last year, really. Like it was bad. Has it been 2 years now with Cooper?
No, it was 1 year because he was a couple years ago. He was decent, but the one thing I think about is this: like, maybe he's not as good as he was in the past, and maybe he's not a top 25, 30 guy anymore. At least at the start of the season. I have one concern. The one concern is that he's coming super late into this process. Like, we got a week and a half before the season starts, and he's just now signing, getting used to the offense. But the other thing is, what happens if Jakobi Meyers does hold out? What happens if he does get traded? Who is the number 1 for this team? And I think they bring in Amari Cooper because you're not comfortable with Jack Besh being the guy. You're not comfortable with Deontay Thornton being the guy. You're not comfortable with Brock Bowers being really the only receiving threat on your team. So I think that there could be like a path to flex value here for Amari Cooper. I'm not chasing it. I'm not really drafting him a whole lot. But like, it wouldn't shock me if if we get a Jakobi Meyers holdout, I think I would be very interested in picking up Amari Cooper straight up. Like, that's where I'd be at. Over, like, do you Amari Cooper or Jack Besh? Which one would you pick up?
Neither. If
you had to.
I'd pick up a running back, to be honest with you. I wouldn't want either of those guys.
What about Deontay Thornton? There's been a lot of hype with Deontay Thornton.
I'd rather have Kyle Monungai, Roshan Johnson over all those guys.
For the purpose of this exercise.
None.
We have to. No, we have to. This is our job.
Listen, this is no.
4 receivers. Here we go.
I don't play fantasy like this. This is the problem, is that I don't play fantasy like this. These guys would never touch my roster because I have no interest in these guys whatsoever. If I had to pick one, Jack Besh, because we have no idea what his upside is. Like Amari Cooper's best season in terms of points per game was his last year in Cleveland, where he was at 15.1. Like, I don't think he comes anywhere near that right now. I think, and the one thing that's different, and I say this all the time, that's different than wide receivers than running backs. Like running backs, you know when to play them, or at least have a good idea when they see volume, because it's easy to see. Like wide receivers, just because a wide receiver is the only wide receiver in this wide receiver room does not mean he's going to see volume. Like he has to be good at getting open. Like you still have to do other things as a wide receiver. It's not as simple as just like, oh, he's the only guy here, so he's going to see volume. That's not how it works. Like,
yeah, but that's why you go get an Amari Cooper, a guy that is an established,
a guy who's washed.
Like that's the guy that if I'm looking at one of these 3,
if anybody, like that's a bigger uptick for Brock Bowers. Give me all Brock Bowers. Holy shit, he's going to see all the work now. I literally have my interest level in Amari Cooper is 0. I'd rather have Jaden Blue. Give me Miles Sanders. I'd rather have.
Gotta hype some Kamani Vidals of the world. That's, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, because that's the process. That's the right process.
Give me the fallen name. Give me the name in a really good spot. Like Amari Cooper is a proven talent off of a bad year, and even last year, I want to say at the top of the year, he wasn't as bad at the top of the year. It was after he got moved to Buffalo. So I kind of feel like Amari Cooper might be a little bit of a, not a value, but like one of those dart throws late. You're talking about a dart throw that could be a wide receiver 4 for your team, a flex for your team. Like, I think that there's maybe a little bit of upside there, especially with Geno. Geno will trust him.